Hi everyone, I am Sintara Leonardo and I will be discussing the first principle of quality management, which is the customer focus. So for the ISO 9001:2015 concepts and methodology, we have 8 quality management principles, PDCA, which is the plan, do, check, act, and then process approach, high-level structure, incorporating quality management system into the organization's strategic direction, clarifying top management roles and responsibilities, and the new concepts of this ISO 9001:2015, which are the risk-based thinking and then the organizational knowledge. It is important to align organizational objectives to market trends and communicate them across the organization. It is also essential to implement programs and processes to measure customer satisfaction and act on the results. So, some key benefits of this customer focus is to increase customer value and satisfaction, enhance repeat business, expand customer base, and increase revenue. So, what is quality function deployment? It is a systematic approach to design based on a close awareness of customer desires, coupled with the integration of corporate functional groups. So here we have Dr. Yoji Akao, along with the late Dr. Shigeru Mizuno. Dr. Yogi Akao is the founder of the Quality Function Deployment. Three main goals in implementing this QFD or the Quality Function Deployments are: first is to prioritize spoken and unspoken customer wants and needs. Second, translate these needs into technical characteristics and specifications. And then third, build and deliver a quality product or service by focusing everybody towards customer satisfaction. So for the application of QFD, we have 4 phases: product planning, part design, process planning, and then the production planning. So each phase or matrix represents a more specific aspect of the product requirements. Relationships between elements are evaluated for each phase, and then only of the most important aspects from each phase are deployed into matrix or the next matrix. So for our first phase here, so we have the product planning. So phase 1 documents customer requirements, warranty data, competitive opportunities, product measurements, competing product measures, and technical ability of the organization to meet each customer requirements. So, in getting good data from the customer in phase 1 is critical to the next of the entire QFD process. So, for the next phase, we have the part design. This phase is led by the engineering department, and then the product design requires creativity and innovative team ideas, of course. And then product concepts are created during the phase, and the part specifications are documented. And then for the next part, for the phase 3, we have here. So process planning comes next and is led by the manufacturing engineering. During process planning, manufacturing processes are flowcharted and process parameters are documented. Then for the last phase, the product planning, process planning comes next and is led by the manufacturing engineering. During process planning, manufacturing process are flowcharted and process parameters are documented. House of quality is a useful and illustrative summary of the product information. So we have here the customer requirements or the voice of the customer. So we can identify here the customer, both the internal and external. And then we can determine the customer needs or what's. And then we can determine also the relative importance or priority of the customer needs. And then we can also translate the customer needs into measurable engineering requirements, which is the how or the technical descriptor or the voice of the organizations. And then we can determine the relationship of engineering design requirements to customer needs, perform or execute competitive benchmarking, which most widely used, and then we can rank the technical difficulty of each engineering requirements. Correlate, we can correlate the relationship or the technical relationship to determine interrelationships of the design requirements. And then we can also set engineering requirements, target or the specification for the product design, and also for us to select the areas that we need to improve. And lastly, we can also identify the how much or the prioritized technical descriptors. Now let us identify the parts of the house of quality. So in this figure, we have the customer requirements, which is the what's. So we have here, we can put our primary and then secondary and then the tertiary requirements for the customers. Example here for the to facilitate enjoyment of climbing. So we can put the usability and then the performance based on the facilitates and enjoyment of climbing. So the first step of the quality function deployment project is to determine what market segments will be analyzed, and then during the process and to identify who the customers are. The team then gathers information from customers on the requirements they have for the product or service. And then for this one, we can use scale from 1 to 5 for us to determine or the customers then rate the importance of each requirements, and then the number will be used later in the relationship matrix. Understanding how customers rate the competition can be tremendous competitive advantage. In this step of the quality function deployment process, it is also a good idea to ask customers how your product or service rates in the relation to the competition. Of course, when we ask someone, we can understand their need, and then there is remodeling that can take place in this part of the house of quality, additional rooms that identify sales opportunities, also goals for the continuous improvement, customer complaints, and then can be added. So the technical descriptors are attributes about the product or service that can be measured and benchmarked against the competition. Technical descriptors may exist that your organization is already using to determine product specification. However, new measurements can be created to ensure that your product is meeting customer needs. We have discussed the customer requirements, which is this part. And then for our technical descriptor or the house is this part or the shaded part. Okay. So as the team defines the technical descriptors, a determination must be made to know the direction of movement for each descriptor. L-shaped diagram for us to determine the relationship of our customer requirements and then the technical descriptor. Then for the relationship diagram, for us to determine the relationship, we can use this. So we can use the positive 9, positive 3, and then the positive 1. Or simply the symbols to identify the strong part or the medium or the weak part for our customer requirements versus the technical descriptors. For this relationship diagram or relationship matrix is where the team determines the relationship between the customer needs and the company's ability to meet those needs. The team asks the question, what is the strength of the relationship between the technical descriptors and the customer needs? So we can identify it by this part or the shaded part. We can rate the design attributes in terms of the organizational difficulty. It is very possible that some attributes are in direct conflict or increasing the number of sizes may be in conflict with the company's stockholding policies, for example. So we can use again the rating from 1 to 5. So to better understand the competition, engineering then conducts a comparison of competitor technical descriptors in this part or again in the shaded part. So this process involves reverse engineering competitor products to determine specific values for competitor technical descriptors. Then for our target values for technical descriptors or the how much, at this stage in the process, the QFD team or the quality function deployment team begins to establish target values for each technical descriptor. For example, so for the meet European standards, we should have the standard of 100%. Or for our number of colors, we must have 4. Okay. So the target values represent how much for the technical descriptor and then act as the baseline to compare against the others. The relationship between technical descriptors correlation matrix, so house versus house. So we can see it in this part. We can use the correlation matrix in the triangle or act as the roof of the house. Then one example is this part. So for this correlation matrix, we use strong positive, medium negative, or strong negative. Last but not the least, we have the absolute importance. So for this part, we need to add all of this. So in adding 45, 67, 57, 18, 52, 108, 72, and 33, we can get 449. 449. So for us to get the relative importance, we must divide the given absolute important, or for example, we have 45 over 449 times 100. Okay. To get the value of 10. And then we will do it to until 30 to get the value of 7. So the numbers are then added in their respective column to determine the importance of each technical descriptor. Now, you can know which technical aspect of your product matters the most to your customer. So, in this part, we have the best, which is the 24, and then the list is 4. So we can identify which part of this is the best and we can identify the list so we can know where we need to focus most. Please see these references and then kindly check the part 2 for the next discussion. Thank you.